So we have JT here with his version of a Shining deck. So it's Heroes.
Yeah.
Shining. The Shining. His version. There we go.
So first of all, YouTube, I'm going to show you my Charizard tokens, because I now have 6 of them.
They're pro.
Yeah, they're awesome. Full team of Charizards, you can't beat that. This deck is called Hero Gate. I got the concept off of... what's his name? I believe it's Dunx does, off of YugiOhCardGuide.com. It revolves around using Fusion Gate to get at the heroes. I'm not playing the Chain Material version because I dislike Chain Material. I find it inconsistent, and I was unable to play it well when I drew it. But anyway, here's my version. So, you start off with Stratos, one of the best floaters in the game. He always generates advantage when he hits the field, and I run 4 ways to search him, get him out turn 1, because that's pretty much the best way you can start off the game with this deck.
Let me know when you're ready.
2 Prisma. I run him. I run Terra Firma, too, so he can be summoned, dump Ocean, make a Miracle Fusion live. Something else I really like doing with him is turning him into a Cyber Dragon to be used with 1 in hand with Fusion Gate, make Cyber Twin, instant 5600 damage if he can get a direct shot in. He can also turn himself into a Cyber Dragon for a machine matchup, contact fuse with any machine monsters. He's really good at that. And yeah, so that's what I like to do with Prisma. He's awesome too. 2 Elemental Hero Voltic. What these guys do is whenever they inflict damage, you special summon one of your removed guys. So if I can, I'll usually try and poke direct, then bring out Stratos for even more advantage. And if not, he just brings out guys, and he's a light target, so he's awesome. He's the only one of them, the elemental heroes that I play, that can't be searched by Rhoda, which kind of sucks. But there's still 3 E-calls and a Stratos to get him out. I run 1 Elemental Hero Neos and 1 Rainbow Dragon. Now, I know some of you people at home are probably going, oh my god, this guy sucks, but hear me out for a second. These 2 guys with Fusion Gate make Rainbow Neos, who's absolutely broken, well, I'll tell you when I get to him in the extra deck. And at worst, he's an Elemental Hero and a Light Monster. Rainbow Dragon's a Light Monster too, so these 2 guys become Shining fodder, at worst. Best thing I like to do with these guys is dump them with Future Fusion and make your opponent waste an MST so your Fusion Gate stays safe. And I run so many ways to get Elemental Hero Neos' name that drawing Rainbow Dragon's actually never a bad thing. Because I have 3 E-calls, a Rhoda, 2 Prismas.
Get Rhoda him though, he's not
name.
level 4.
Rhoda for Prisma.
There you go.
Double Ocean, water, gets dumped by Prisma, makes Miracle Fusion live. Worst thing that this guy does is generates advantage by bringing me back a hero to my hand, preferably Stratos, or some guy who's dead in the graveyard. He's kind of awesome if I can get him out under a couple cards of protection, even though I don't run that many. Honest. Surprise Honest. Boost up my light monsters even more. Boost up a Voltic for funny stuff, bring out another Elemental Hero with a boosted up Voltic. Honest is awesome. And he's a light target. Double Effect Veiler. They're light targets. They tune with my Cyber Dragon. They stop Caius's from making my Shinings cry. Effect Veiler's just awesome. Should be running 2 of them all the time. And I hate Black Rose Dragon. Because Black Rose Dragon, for some reason, screws me over so much, because I never draw warning. 1 Elemental Hero Ice Edge. He's a water target, and he's an Elemental Hero, and whenever he pokes direct, he destroys a spell or a trap, which is really cool because he kills Necro Valleys. People waste warnings on this guy. For what reason, I don't know, other than the fact that he'll just blow them up anyway. But it's really funny when people waste their warnings on him because he just goes to the graveyard, so I can Miracle Fuse him. He's awesome. And lastly, 2 awesome Cyber Dragons and 1 sucky Cyber Dragon. I love these guys.
Oddball in the family.
Yeah, he's the black sheep. They're 2100. They come out on... Basically, they run over stuff, and then I use them for Shining fodder, or for Cyber Twin fodder. And that's it for monsters. I believe there's 16. And then afterwards, we got spells, running triple Miracle Fusion. This card is ridiculous. Top deck it for winning the game. 3 Fusion Gate. A lot of people think that this card loses you advantage because you got to fuse from the hand to the field. But what's really beautiful about this card is sometimes you tend to draw a lot of elemental heroes, and it's hard to get a Miracle Fusion going. So you fuse up 2 of your guys for an Absolute Zero, and then you've still got Fusion Gate on the field, so you can do more stuff. So you fuse another guy with your Absolute Zero for a Shining. So far, you've removed at least 3 elemental heroes, making him 3,500, and you now just blew up their field. So you're attacking direct for 3,500, or you're forcing them to waste something. And you don't attack into back row usually, because Dimensional Prison just wastes all your effort, and you're down a ton of advantage. Double Terraforming to grab Fusion Gate, because I want to get to it as soon as possible, get combos rolling. 2 MSTs, Deep Prison sucks, Bottomless sucks. Those are your 2 biggest worries with this deck. You don't want to run into them, because Shining just loses out to them, and getting your... If you were attacking with Absolute Zero in the first place, you don't want to lose into Deep Prison, because you're probably trying to get advantage with it, and... yeah. Deep Prison just sucks. I hate that card. If I had room to main 2 Forbidden Lances, I would, just because I hate it so much. 3E Emergency Calls, because I want to get to Stratos turn 1 as often as I can, so you gotta run as much search as you can. Future Fusion, because this card's stupid good. Lets me make my opponent scared with a Rainbow Neos. And they have to worry about MSTing it, so my Fusion Gates can go on unhurt. And
Rainbow
another
Neos
awesome
is
thing,
scary.
Hmm?
Rainbow Neos is scary if it
He
comes
is.
out.
Another awesome thing about Fusion Gate is this card cannot be Solemn Warning, because it doesn't special summon upon activation. It only special summons after it's been activated. So Warning can't stop it. Oppression's pretty much the only thing it can. And we've got Rhoda. I want to get Stratos and my other heroes. Giant Trunade for when I try and go for an OTK or need to make a really big push. And Reborn for being Reborn. Now, I just got rid of all the spells, and you're probably wondering, why doesn't this scrub run Dark Hole? It's because I run 3 Dark Holes, and they're called Absolute Zero. 1 return for the different dimension. This card's ridiculous. Lets you bring back all the removed guys that you got back with either Miracle Fusion or Fusion Gate. And you can bring back an Ocean in the standby phase, return to Stratos, and then play him again for even more advantage, so this card's just nuts. Solemn Judgment for letting your plays go through. Mirror Force, stable. 2 warnings, not that I ever see them, but they're awesome, I hear. And 2 7 tools for Deep Prisons and Bottomlesses and other traps that I hate, like Solemn, and warnings on my Miracle Fusions. I hate that. So now we're going to go to the extra deck. 2 Elemental Hero Shining, because I do not have a third one. A third one is on the way, and I'm going to take out a couple of the Synchros once one gets here. 3 Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. This guy's ridiculous good. No, I suppose for those of you who don't know, I should have explained what the Shining does. The Shining gets 300 attack and defense points, or just attack points, for every remove from play Elemental Hero that you have. So Miracle Fusion into this guy nets you at least 2,900, usually 3,200 beatstick. And when he's destroyed, you can add up to 2 of them back to your hand. So usually, I'll fuse Prisma and Stratos into him, so that when he dies, I get the 2 of them back, and I can either play Stratos to make Fusion Gate live again, or I can play Prisma to make Miracle Fusion live. Depends on which one that I have going on at the time. Rainbow Neos. Okay, so I've been talking this guy up quite a bit, so I'll tell you what he does. When he's summoned, first of all, he's a 4,500 beat stick, so he's massive. He's light, he's not an elemental hero, but he's still light, so he's awesome. When he hits the field, I can do one of 3 things with him. The first one is I can send the top card of my deck to the graveyard to spin my opponent's graveyard back to my deck. Every single card goes back to their deck. So this guy just eats up plants, scraps, anything that uses the graveyard. Or he can send a monster, including himself, from my field to my graveyard to send all my opponent's monsters back to their deck. So Stardust, anything like that, just gets eaten by him. And I can also send a spell or a trap from my field to my graveyard to spin all my opponent's spell traps back to their graveyard. So I summon him, say with Future Fusion, I can send Future Fusion to the graveyard, and him as well, unfortunately, to bounce all the spells and traps. Or if I bring him out with Fusion Gate, I can send Fusion Gate. So this guy's just ridiculously good. If you can get him out and get his effect off, you probably win. Because the only way they're going to stop this guy from coming out is by destroying Fusion Gate before he comes out, or destroying Future Fusion before he comes out, because he's never going to be warninged unless they warning the Future Fusion. 1 Dragon Knight Dracoe Quest. I love this card so much. I was really down in a game against Dragoonides tonight, and all I had in my hand was a Reborn and a Prisma. And I was looking in his graveyard, and he had a Vajranya in there, so I Reborned it, and then I fused it with Fusion Gate with my Warrior, and brought this guy out, and he won me the game. This guy's just ridiculously good in matches against decks that summon a lot of Synchro Dragons with Super Polymerization. Plants and Dragoonides, this guy just wrecks them. 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons. I basically run 5 Cyber Dragons, so this guy sees a lot of play. With Card Trooper at 2, this guy is huge. Turn a Prisma into a Cyber Dragon and Contact Fuse them, or summon a Cyber Dragon, Contact Fuse with the Prisma. This guy just makes it really big. He's awesome for getting rid of Card Troopers that otherwise would bring me down at advantage. Cyber Twin Dragon, special summon with either a Prisma or Fusion Gate and 2 Cyber Dragons. He attacks twice. He's ridiculous. 2800's huge. He gets over Stardust and then continues to kill you. He gets over Gores, then continues to kill you. Gets over almost any Synchro except for Scrap Dragon. He's the only one that's really commonly used these days that can even tie him. Red Dragon Archfiend is pretty much it other than that. And then I decided to run a couple Synchros because I have the extra deck space because I don't have a Gaia. I'm still trying to find one. So I got a Stardust, a Black Rose, a Brinac, and a Catastor. As generic as it gets, just because I run 2 Effect Veilers. When I get a Gaia and another Shining, these 2 are going to come out just because these guys can be synchroed almost all the time with my 2 Veilers, either with a hero or my Cyber Dragons, so these guys don't really see much play. And lastly, Elemental Hero Terra Firma to dump Ocean. And for side deck, Mind Crush. This card is ridiculously good. I'm trying it out, seeing how I like it. I don't have room to side it in that often, but I like it. 2 Thunder King Ryo. He's a light target, and he just shuts other decks down that cause this deck problems, like Gravekeepers. The Gravekeeper matchup is really hard. Fusion Gate gives us a little bit of a boost against them because it kills Necro Valley, but Gravekeepers shut us down a lot. So Thunder King Ryo helps with that. Banisher, he's a light target, and for plant decks, I don't always have to rely on the graveyard. Usually when I'll side him in, I'll side out a Miracle Fusion, just because he kind of hampers the useless of Miracle Fusions, but having Fusion Gate on the field makes this guy still be able to be live and still good. And he just hurts so many other decks. Sabers, plants, he's too good. 2 Malevolent Catastrophe. This card can go huge against decks like Gravekeepers and decks that set a lot. It really unfortunate when you have to blow up your own cards, like when I have to blow up my own Fusion Gate, but I run 3 of them, so you won't always be hurt to have one on the field, and hopefully you won't let this go off if you have your own cards on the field, because otherwise that'd just be bad. Just be bad Yu-Gi-Ohs. 2 Noblemans. These guys hit plants, they hit sabers, they hit Gravekeepers. They can even hit stun sometimes. Nobleman's just such a good card now because everybody's setting, everybody's playing a slow game. There's a slow format. Nobleman's just too good. 2 Dust Tornadoes hits Dragon Ravine and Necro Valley before they can kill. Fusion Gate hits D Prisons because we all know how much I hate those, and hits other back rows that would stop us. I'd almost main these if I could, along with Forbidden Lances. I didn't have room to side Lances tonight. 2 Snowman Eaters. These guys are for stun and glads. Glads who would probably otherwise wreck us. And he's a 1900 wall, and he's a water target. He's ridiculously good. And lastly, 2 Super Polymerization, because I don't have a third. Super Polymerization's ridiculous card. Lets you steal your opponent's monsters and fuse with them, or lets you attack and then drop this and continue attacking for more battle damage. Super Poly is such a good card. I love it, especially when making a play with Draco Equist.
And then you chain Defusion and continue to attack.
Right. And that's the deck.